This is NNN. It's Friday, May 22nd, and this is the Norval News Network, the network that answers the question, what's new at Norval? I'm your host, Mr. LG, and this week we'll be looking at baby chicks, dandelion salad, earth rangers, making your own spearfishing pole, and canoeing the Credit River. Let's have a closer look. Miss Corley has moved back in with her family to help with the farming season this spring, and this week she shares a story of life on the farm.
This is a chicken coop, but not just any chicken coop. This chicken coop has 50 baby chickens inside. These chickens were purchased about 2 weeks ago, and they were 1 day old. And they've grown a lot since. And we're gonna go in and take a look at how they're doing. Let's go. There's the baby chickens. When the chickens get cold or sleepy, they like to snuggle together in the corner to stay warm. This space is big enough for them while they're this size, but as they get bigger, we'll open up the boards so that they have more room to move, and eventually, once it's warm enough, we'll let them roam outside in a fenced-in pen. When these chickens are 1 day old, they're only yellow and fluffy, and in about 1 week they started to get feathers, and now that they're 2 weeks old, they're getting more and more of their feathers as they grow bigger. They like to peck to eat their food. This here is their water jug, so you can fill it up so they have water for a long period of time, and as they drink it, it slowly drains in, and they just take little sips at a time as they need water while they're eating. These lights are actually heat lamps. The chickens can't get too cold because they're not big enough to keep themselves warm. So we have a bunch of different heat lamps in here, and we turn them on depending on how cold it is to keep these chickens nice and warm and happy. Bird's eye view. Thanks for joining me here at the chicken coop. See you next week.
With so many great web programs out there, how do you know which ones are the best to help your kids learn about the environment? Mr. Evans has a suggestion.
So much, Mr. LG. My name's Mr. Evans. I'm just out here doing some online learning. And I don't know about you, but I'm getting sick of looking at a computer screen. It's time to take learning, make it hands-on. How do you do that? Where do you go? With my kids, we use a little program called Earth Rangers. You download it to your phone, and it makes it so you can go out into the environment. You can earn badges, film missions, and get small little rewards. It's so cool. Let me show you what my kids have done so far. After a certain amount of missions, we're going to buy them a stuffy. This is our first one. Once they accomplish those missions, they get that stuffy sent to them in the mail. This one's Ice Cube. Ice Cube helps protect the polar bears. So this stuffy is not just a stuffy, it also has a purpose. Very important in this time, especially with such uncertainty, that there's a little bit of purpose in life. My kids share this stuffy. Cora will sleep with it one night, Tim will sleep with it the next night, and it has special meaning to them because they know it's helping the polar bears. Awesome. Purpose makes a difference. Thanks very much, Mr. LG. Back to you.
One of my favorite things to do each spring is to canoe down the Credit River. Want to see what it's like? Come with me.
Hi, it's Mr. LG, and today I'm on location
in Terracotta, Ontario, about 20 kilometers upstream from the Norval Outdoor School. And this afternoon, my wife Leslie and I are going to go on a canoeing adventure down the Credit River here, all the way to Norval. Canoeing the Credit is one of my favorite things to do every spring. If you're going to go canoeing down a river this spring, there's a few things you have to take with you. So first, you have to have a bailer of some kind. Secondly, you need some type of rope. You should both have life jackets on, or what they call personal flotation devices. The law says they just have to be in the boat, but we always wear them. And some type of noisemaker. And I've got my whistle in my pocket here. Oh, and I've got a whistle on my life jacket too. Stepping in. Nice. Right there. So we're paddling through the picturesque village of Glen Williams right now. Glen Williams is about halfway between Terracotta and the Norval Outdoor School. It's funny, on this canoe trip, sometimes you feel like you're in the wilderness, and other times you feel like you're just going through town. That's where the grass is here.
All right.
Well, after canoeing for 16 kilometers, we've just arrived at the edge of the Norval Outdoor School property. And I have to say, of all the stretch we do on the Credit River, this is my favorite part.
Yeah. Oh, here we are. That's where we're pulling out.
Well, we made it. 20 kilometers from Terracotta to the Norval Outdoor School. What a perfect night to go paddling. And now all that's left is the big portage back up to Stephen House again. Ever wonder how people made their own spearfishing poles back in the day? Well, wonder no more. Mr. Parcher is going to teach us the secret technique.
Thanks, Mr. LG. Hi everyone, Mr. Parcher here. Now this week's topic is going to be about a different type of fishing. This style of fishing, spear fishing, is something that I do enjoy doing in the spring, as I'll go spearing for white suckers. So the first thing you need to do is find yourself a tree that is relatively straight. I like using poplar because it's a softwood, grows back fast, and then you're not knocking down a hardwood, which will grow back a lot slower. So I found a nice, relatively straight poplar here, and the first thing I'm going to do is cut it down. On the ground, you're going to want to take off all of the branches. I personally like about an 8-foot spear. If you have your pole cut, you're going to be using the thicker end to actually make the spear component. Now you're not sharpening the end into one point. You're actually going to be splitting it into 4 parts and then sharpening each of those points individually. Embedded my knife in the end of my spear where the point's going to be, and then I've slid it down into the actual piece of the wood. You can see there is a crack starting to spread, and that's perfect. And my next step is going to be tying some string or jute right here to hold that split, because you don't want the split carrying down the entire spear. I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side to essentially make 4 prongs. Another way to get your knife to spread that crack is by using a stick or a log and just tapping your knife blade gently. You can see I've just taken the top of the poplar that I cut down and whittled down some sticks off of it. I've now jammed them into the cuts, and I've just been working them down nice and slowly with this other piece of the poplar that I took off the top. You can see the crack is stopping right at where the jute is, which is perfect. Just sharpening each of the prongs so that each of the tips are nice and sharp. So now that we've finished up, just a few things to remember before I leave you. If you are going to be making one of these, make sure that you ask your parents to help, especially when it comes to using a knife. You wouldn't really want to use one of these outside of a survival situation to actually spearfish. And make sure that if you are going fishing, even with a rod and reel, to always check the regulations online and adhere to the Ministry of Natural Resources, quotas, and licensing. Thanks for watching.
You may think they're a weed, but dandelions are just dandy with Ms. Buckle, and here's why.
Thanks, Mr. LG. Unfortunately, I'm without my group of foraging dogs today, but I am coming to you live from a local park, and I'm going to be highlighting an extremely common and misunderstood plant that you might not know is actually edible. I must admit, at first I was a little worried that I wouldn't find any of the plant that I was looking for at this park, but to my surprise, this park is full of dandelions. Let's take a closer look. All too often, gardeners wage a war in their lawns and gardens on the poor, tasty dandelion, which is such a shame because not only is it edible and nutritious, it is actually a great, homegrown, free addition to meals. Every part of the plant is edible, from the roots to the blossoms, and can be harvested at any point throughout the year. But the youngest leaves are considered to be the least bitter, so springtime is normally when you get the best tasting leaves from the dandelion. There are tons of recipes online that include different parts of the dandelion, but today I'm going to forage the leaves from the dandelion to include nice and fresh in my green salad. Before adding the dandelion leaves to your salad, make sure that you wash them off. I like to spray some of my produce with a water and vinegar solution. And then I'll add some water. Once I've added the water, I'll let the dandelion leaves sit in the water for a little while, and then I will clean them off and dry the leaves before I add them to my salad. And there you have it, a tasty, fresh green salad with some yummy dandelion leaves. Back to you, Mr. LG.
I'm very excited to introduce to you our first ever guest correspondent on the Norval News Network, Dr. Premak Hammer, world-renowned specialist on crayfish.
So here we go, first field trip, crayfish sampling trip during quarantine. Hope they're there. I've got my mask. So here we go. We're at the creek. This is our famous swimming hole that we swim in the summer. But I'm gonna go down here and have a look and see. Here. This is a good one. This is the first good one of the season. It's a male. First ones of the season. I'm gonna try to get some underwater footage of this guy. There we go. Put him down here. And caught a couple of buried females right at the bottom of that bridge where I looked before, just over there in the second tunnel. And yeah, that was I just flipped like. Here we are, pretty successful trip. Half a dozen rusties, some pondweed. Got my feet just a little bit wet. Didn't bring spare socks, but I'm not very far from home, so not a big deal. And that's a take. Dr. H, Dr. Crayfish out.
Well, that's it for this week's edition of the Norval News Network. Thanks for watching. And from all of us at Norval to all of you, we hope you're safe and well. And don't forget to have fun outdoors. See you next week.